Today, the Biden-Harris administration announced a new record of federal funding and investments in HBCUs, totaling more than $16 billion from fiscal year 2021 to now. Those funds came from the following. Nearly $4 billion for HBCUs through the American Rescue Plan and other COVID relief legislation. These grants funded through the Department of Education and other agencies have helped HBCUs support students' ability to meet basic needs, support campus operations, staffing, teaching, and educational programs, and keep campuses and the surrounding communities on the path to an equitable recovery. $2.6 billion from the Department of Education to build institutional capacity at HBCUs. These efforts support the growth and sustainability of HBCU degree programs, increase and enhance human, technological, and physical infrastructure for research, strengthen positioning to secure direct partnership opportunities, and create sustainable fund development. Over $1.6 billion to HBCUs through federal grants, cooperative agreements, and other competitive funding opportunities that drive the advancement of academic and training programs, community-based initiatives, and research innovation across national priorities such as medicine and public health, climate science, agriculture, emerging technologies, and defense. Almost $950 million to support HBCUs in growing research capacity and related infrastructure to better compete for federal research and development dollars. Nearly $719 million to grant funding to expand STEM academic capacity and educational programs and in other high-wage, high-demand fields such as computer science, nursing, and allied health. Over $150 million in federal contracting opportunities awarded to HBCUs, including for research and expansion of STEM education programs at the Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Transportation, Department of Energy, and U.S. Agency for International Development. $1.6 billion in capital finance debt relief for 45 public and private HBCUs. Discharging these debts has enabled these institutions to focus resources on supporting students, faculty, and staff. What that means, folks, is they don't have to pay that money back. Over $2.4 million in Project Serve funds to support HBCUs affected by more than a dozen bomb threats in 2022. Also, folks, so that's the total amount of money. Now, remember earlier I was talking about how you position this and how you frame this? This is the White House Twitter feed. You got a video from President Joe Biden on the decision by the Department of Justice to reclassify marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug. Totally understand it. Got it. You know what I see right here? Boom. A graphic. Okay. The video dropped. Right here. You'll see the video. Then all of a sudden, then you see the graphic. Then we got the Brown versus Board of Education meeting, a big photo op. Another post regarding the reclassification of marijuana. Another post on marijuana. Another post on marijuana. Then retirement accounts. Now we go further. Fair shot at home ownership. Okay. Then we got new investments. I'm keep going. Okay. Here we go. This is on the White House account. Okay. National Peace Memorial. Okay. Now we one day over. Here's my whole point. On the White House's Twitter feed, nothing. Nothing on the $16 billion. Okay? Now, I'm going to do this here. I'm going to go to the Joe Biden account. Now, remember when Plies was going off? When he said, talk your stuff? Same thing. I'm looking on here. I got the video from the debate. I got a Dairy Queen. I see nothing about the $16 billion. This is the thing, Lauren. We were talking about it earlier. Reese was talking about, and no camera sitting here going like, oh man, I wish my folks in the digital department are getting it right. There's nothing like a big ass graphic, Lauren. $16 billion to HBCUs from the Biden-Harris administration. That's your graphic. And then you then you put more than any president in American history. Where is it? I get the press release. I get the long white sheet. Mm-hmm. You got to sell it.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I'm just telling you, these offices are very layered, and there's a lot of sign-offs, and there's a lot of approvals. The other thing, too, that can't be denied here is that, frankly, I think a lot of Democrats, a lot of white Democrats, have a hard time bringing themselves to show everybody what they specifically do for Black folks. They're always caught in this vortex of not wanting to look like they're doing a lot of stuff for Black folks because they perceive that as, oh my goodness, we might piss off, quote, moderate voters or moderate Republicans that we might be able to attract. So there's this sort of game that goes on too in the messaging of being afraid to show what you're doing for your base, which is of course foolish in this particular example, because of course the base of the party, both parties typically appeal to their base. But for some reason, the Democratic Party always has this problem appealing to their strongest bloc, their most dedicated bloc, which is Black voters, specifically Black women voters on top of that, but Black men are number two. And so I think that's another thing that gets involved with the messaging, particularly when it comes to something so specific as historically Black colleges. So I'll bet you anything that that's a factor because, yeah, they'll put out the performative thing of, and there's nothing wrong with celebrating the 70th anniversary of Brown v. Board, but that is probably a performative meeting, right? I mean, they sort of a, obviously a tip of the hat to that history. Nothing wrong with that. But there's the performative and then there's the substantive. And when it comes down to substantive policy, what we find a lot of times in the Democratic Party is a fear to show everyone and message as vigorously as we can in terms of we the Democratic Party messaging as they can, as vigorously as they can in the direction of Black people.
But the deal is though, but Cameron, here's the deal though. They put it out. They put it out. What I'm saying is it's not like they hid it. They actually put it out. What I'm saying is sell it. You gotta sell it. You gotta push it. It has to be there. That's my point.
They didn't put it out as publicly as they could have.
Cameron?
Yeah, you got me. I mean, I will say this. This is an issue that obviously very close to me, close to my heart as a Howard alum, HBCU alum, a family of HBCU alumni, and knowing our vice president also being an HBCU alum and so many of us there. As this number kept growing over time, I remember one of our first big issues and crises was the misinformation around how much money the Biden administration was in those first 2 years had been giving, which already immediately after year one was a record amount of HBCU funding and investment. And that number has only continued to grow. I will say this. This is a growing number that is consistently updated and put in front of folks. Lauren mentioned something earlier. There are a lot of approvals. There's a lot of different issues that need to cover on the core feeds of the president, vice president, and White House. I got to see that firsthand. Like there's a million things that can talk about, and it literally just due to time and space, you can't tweet them all in real time. But what I do like about this is that they understand that on a platform like HBCU Buzz, HBCU Grad, HBCU Alum, Watch the Yard, the Shade Room, Executive T, all these different digital outlets which have way more followers and way more engagement with the actual communities that this is affecting, that this is making sure that there was a coordinated rollout. And I can guarantee you that there will be
Don't do that.
Presidents and White House.
Don't do that.
At some point in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Cameron, don't do that.
We rolled out.
Cameron, don't do that. You know why?
I mean, this used to be my
Cameron, don't do that. Cameron, don't do that.
And I don't push back on that. It should be immediate. But I do
the 5 account, Cameron, the 5 accounts that you just mentioned, it's not on there. I checked. That's my point. Okay, again, here's my whole point. If you're going to drop the news first of all, you're dropping the news on Friday. Now, everybody already know you don't supposed to drop good news on Friday. Okay, especially Friday afternoon. Here's my whole point. I'm on the Shade Room. No mention. I'm over here on HBCU Grad. No mention.
Thursday?
No, I'm over here on HBCU Buzz. No mention. I checked Watch the Yard. No mention. This is precisely my point. If you're going to drop this on Friday, you say, Yo, name them all again. You said Shade Room, Watch the Yard, HBCU Grad, HBCU Buzz, HBCU Nation, that I'm going to hit them and say, yo, y'all get it first. Y'all can load it Thursday night. They should have woke up Friday morning and their graphic, $16 billion, whatever how you want to phrase it, should have been on every single one of their apps. It's not. That, Reese, is what I call missed opportunity. You got a great story, but you ain't telling nobody. And we already know mainstream, you don't give a damn about HBCUs.
Well, I'll say this. I think that the Black media engagement has been far superior in this administration than other ones. I was invited now, again, 2 years ago, to report on the SERVE grants, HBCU bomb grants. Got lots of views, got lots of hits, but I will say that Democrats widely, not just this White House, but Democrats widely rely on us doing the heavy lifting in terms of, okay, we'll send you a press release and we will, invite you on the calls and we'll even invite you to the White House to report on it. But they don't do a lot of making it easy for us to report. And they definitely don't make it easy for those who are receiving the information to receive it outside of reading an article or watching a video or things of that nature. So I agree with you around the point of memes, around graphics. I've been saying that. And I think they need to do even beyond just text memes, text graphics. They do have some that are pretty good, but those don't necessarily hit as much as, like, for instance, when the disinformation was spreading around crack pipes, and you go to the Shade Room and you see a big ass fucking crack pipe, and it says Biden Harris giving crack pipes away. So I think there is a part that doesn't necessarily recognize that what they're up against and how people are receiving the counter information, the disinformation, the misinformation,
exactly,
and how that makes it that much more important, and how you deliver the message, how relentless you are about delivering the message, how consistent you are in delivering the message, and for making it easier for people to translate the message. I remember when last thing I'll say is when I reported on these things, I haven't written in a while because I'm busy doing all these shows, but I remember I had to do so much work to write. And I mean, journalists would say, duh, but I'm just saying that they give you a fact sheet, 100 things on it. They give you give me 3 highlights. If you can give me on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, 3 talking points to run with, that's going to sink in a lot easier than giving me a list of 100 items. It's the same reason that crack pipes was easy, the same reason that $10 billion for Ukraine is easy, the same reason for looking what the Asians got was easy.
Right.
They don't understand that you got to keep it simple and put it where the goats can get it, as Joe Madison would say. So
folks, the work is being done.
Absolutely.
It's being done. But again, it goes to how do you drive a message? How do you communicate a message? And the reason for me it matters, Cameron, because it's in your wheelhouse. The polling, the data shows it. We had the Black Voter Project on yesterday. We had Terrence Woodbury on. Cordell Belcher's polls. It's in the data. Black people are seeing the most misinformation about Biden Harris, Instagram 1, TikTok 2. So that means that if I am trying to counter misinformation, I mean, when you look at, when Earn Your Leisure put up the photo of Vice President Kamala Harris on there when they interviewed her in Atlanta, you had all of these, some of the nastiest comments attacking her left and right. Lies. They still run with the lie, Cameron. She locked up millions of black men. Okay, been debunked. They run with the lies, which means that, so if I know what my obstacle is, now I gotta have a counter message. When they would do student loan debt relief, if I posted on my Instagram page, you would see the usual lying folks coming out, oh, they ain't done shit. It's only 9%. Why can't they forgive all of it? Dumbass. Supreme Court said they couldn't. Dumbass. Those of you who did vote for Hillary Clinton, say hello, because that's how Trump got 3 Supreme Court picks. Okay, just call facts. But my deal is, you know what happened? People were like, I ain't know nobody who got relief. Other people said, I did, my son did, my daughter did. And so it was countering the lies. That to me is what they have to understand, what you're now up against, and which is why their messaging has to be stronger, faster, more efficient. Cameron, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they both from inside the campaign, inside the White House, and all those supporters who were looking to push. I will say this is that I think in this era of misinformation, disinformation, salacious headlines, the truth just moves a little slower. If it's not as salacious, if it's not something that can. If it's not something that really breaks through, it moves a little slower. But that doesn't mean they don't need to double down and triple down in that vigilance and on keeping that message and on discipline. I have full faith in the campaign that they will get it together, that the White House, like I said, is continuously given the resources they have to be able to try to push it out as much as possible. But I think even my involvement this year in just making sure that people understand the tactics, social media content creators, all the different ways we can get messages out this year, and just being on that soapbox to make sure that Democrats, not just at the White House, but all the way down the ticket, are really using these new age tactics and data and understanding to really be able to break through, because it's just going to be that much harder to get a positive message when the lies sound so much.
Yeah, and look, I spent 6 weeks having to negate the Newsweek cover lie of Biden-Harris cutting $35 billion from HBCUs, which was a flat-out lie. And again, when you're in the world that we're living in is just totally different. And you know what? It's no longer a world where it's only one story per day. Hey, guess what? The focus today is going to be this here. No, you sometimes have to have 2 and 3 because you're reaching different audiences. Listen, the changing the marijuana schedule, very important. But guess what? I don't smoke weed. So the HBCU story may be more important to me because here's the piece and what I also read. And people have to understand, when we talk about that $16 billion to HBCUs, that's just not a BS number. That's also, which they mentioned in the release, it's also those communities around. So you're talking about Black-owned restaurants. You're talking about Black cleaners. You're talking about the people who rent apartments or houses where the students live as well. So the support, that $16 billion that goes to HBCUs, is helping Black folks who didn't even go to HBCUs but live near and around those institutions. Reese, hold on, Lauren, 1 second. Lauren, hold on. Reese wanted to make a comment. I'm going, Lauren. Reese, go.
Yeah, the reason why the truth travels slower is because there's no investment in the truth. The reason why these lies and disinformation and misinformation travel much more pervasively and quicker is because there's an investment in them. It is hundreds of millions of dollars invested in that. And the Democrats want to rely on organic truth telling. And that's where did you see this? And can you make a video? And can you talk about this? Yeah, I can. But what are you going to do to invest in that truth that I'm correcting getting out there? And do you value the truth being corrected on platforms like Roland Martin Unfiltered, like my show, SiriusXM Urban View, or like when I've written for EUR Web and I see look what VP is doing. Look at the articles. And I see ABC News, I see everybody else, and I don't see my article on there. And so what Democrats don't do is they don't invest in the information infrastructure. I've said that a million times. They don't invest in the truth. They just think that things are supposed to just magically happen in an era where everything is manipulated in algorithms and in what's going to attract clicks and dollars. And they don't want to invest in countering that. And I'm sorry, but it's not going to cut it by having people make content and thinking that, oh, well, somebody's making content and that alone is going to fix it. Not when $100 million is behind your opposition, to make sure that people see that whatever it is that they're believing, which they are, and regurgitating and taking for, i.e. Cardi B and others, Sexy Red, and hell, even Charlamagne and some other people, they're going to make sure that there is money behind that. And Democrats do not do that. I'm not saying give me money. I'm just saying Democrats do not invest in the truth and in the infrastructure the way that they should. And that's why they're constantly playing catch up.
Lauren, go ahead.
Well, part of that, though, is I totally agree with you, Reese, but this is where it's not the White House's fault. Like a lot of
not White House.
The metrics of the media business right now is that they're losing money, they're losing viewership, they're losing attention, and they're putting on what's salacious to get that attention. And when you put out something substantive, like the HBCU funding numbers, the media is not interested because they want to do Donald Trump all day long on a hush money case because that is what makes them money. So they're not investing in substantive information. And frankly, it's laziness, but it's also desperation because they have picked clicks and web traffic over what is the truth and really over what really is just public service information.
Which is why you can't.
That's not the White House's fault.
But
I didn't say White House.
No. But it is the fault of, I dare say, folks in the White House, in the DNC, and others who don't understand that. Here's the reality, and this is the reality that I saw this story the other day. Let me find it, where conservative operatives put together, raised $1 million+ to launch this new media outlet on Capitol Hill. One second.
They're always launching.
No. But the key is But here's the deal. But it goes to though what Reese is talking about.
Right. The Democrats are not investing in an ecosystem and
right. And so
that's definitely true.
And what I'm saying is
conversations.
Hold up. But here's the whole point here. The whole point here is.
But big media, the New York Times, and the
I'm not. But this is.
They don't want.
But Lauren, I don't give a shit about them, and that's the point. Here's the reality: they're not doing it. So if you know that they're not going to be doing it, what you then have to do is you have to then have an ecosystem or have a strategy. It doesn't even involve them. They're not going to cover it. We already know. Listen, MSNBC. CNN, they're not even going to cover the vice president's conversation with D.L. Hughley today. They didn't cover her in Detroit last week. They didn't cover her in Atlanta the week before. So now the question is, if you know that going in, what is the strategy that you have to communicate and drive messaging? So you know they're not going to do it. So what are you going to do? You can't just say, oh, well, it's not going to happen. And
Shade Room isn't doing it either. I mean, is Black media doing it other than you? Who is doing a substantive read on HBCU funding?
But go ahead, Cameron. Go ahead, Cameron.
Roland Martin, who is doing substantive reporting on Black information other than Roland Martin?
Well, because
I would say this: it's not necessarily about reporting. It is about content and things that are capturing. This is an entertainment. Unfortunately, news is now entertainment. People need to be entertained in order for you to stick on your phone, stick on a feed, and click. What I do know, what will happen, that investment to Reese's point, in that echo chamber of not just organics. But you need paid influencers. You need people across TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You need people in these closed groups who are paid, just like any other advertising platform, to continue to promote messages. In addition to that, I think with this HBCU and the fact that this money was so diversely spread across so many different HBCUs and so many different opportunities, over $950 million to 40 plus HBCUs on research funding alone. I think what they have an opportunity is to have this story run all the entire summer, all fall, where they're literally showing, hey, I'm here at Alcorn State University. We just received a grant here. This is real money. Like, I'm here at Mississippi Valley State.
Well, that's if they do it. That's if they do it. But you have to have a plan of action to execute a strategy. And what I am saying is, what they have to accept is, we know what mainstream's not going to do. We also understand, and this is a reality, because of the lack of investment, why you don't really have a significant, real Black-owned media apparatus. You don't. I've broken this down before. Black Enterprise ain't covering Black business stories like they used to. They're a conference company. It's just a fact. Essence is not covering a lot of this stuff. They're focused on hair and beauty. Ebony is a shell of itself. Okay, it's some stuff happening at the Griot, but so if you talk about Baller Alert or Shade Room, Jasmine Brand, they're basically Instagram posts. So you have to understand in terms of what the ecosystem here is. But what I'm saying is, they do have to recognize that they got to look at it a different way. Putting out a 3-page white sheet ain't gonna do it. And Reese's been saying that, and we've talked about it for longest, and I agree with her. You can't just put out, here's a long white sheet. No, it's understanding what the system, the current system feeds off of. And again, it's what did I say about student loan debt? I don't care what anybody says. And I still haven't seen it. And to me, this ain't that hard. If I'm the campaign, I'm soliciting some of the, 3.9 million people who got in student loan debt. I'm saying, send me your Thanks Joe video. And this is the video.
Good idea.
To me, and I've been seeing it for the longest.
Yeah, that's good.
I've been seeing it for the longest. This is the commercial. The commercial is simple. So-and-so.
Can I use this idea?
Doug, look, it's in the public. I've been saying it for weeks. The commercial is this. You see the photo of a Black dude, name at the bottom, and amount of money he had in relief. And he says, thanks, Joe. Show me a white woman. Thanks, Joe. Show me a Latino man. Thanks, Joe. That's the damn ad. Just showing name, 78,000. 110,000, 58,000. And then at the end of it, 3.9 million Americans have gotten $160 billion in student loan debt relief. And I end that sucker with, thanks, Joe, this ad. I authorized this ad. And you know what? Every time Vice President Kamala Harris, when she was in Milwaukee today, she should have said, hey, glad to see all y'all here. Before I start, Kim, John, so-and-so. These 5 people sitting in the audience right now, collectively, they had more than $500,000 in student loan debt relief as a result of our administration. Oh, Lord. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. And you know what? I'm making those 5 folks available, people to interview when the damn thing is over. And I'm just simply saying, you have to understand you're in a different world. You gotta stop running an analog campaign in a digital world. So yeah, Cameron, take the idea.
I'll make sure we get that on the airways this year.
It works. It works. Because all of a sudden it's like, oh shit. Because this is the problem. This is the problem. When you talk about big things, the person at home like, oh, okay, fine, 160 billion. Oh, hold up. So-and-so in my town, how much I might know that girl. It's real. Joe Madison always said, put it where the ghost can get it. All I'm saying is, it's great that they announced this in the 16 billion, but you gotta sell it. 80% of the job ain't getting the policy. 20% of the job is getting the policy. 80% is selling your wins. That's what you gotta do.
I wanted the people of Baltimore to hear it from me. I have done nothing wrong.
Prosecutor for the people. But I see that what you are trying to do is destroy this black woman for doing her job.
I've heard your calls for no justice, no peace. However, your peace is sincerely needed as I work to deliver justice on behalf of Freddie Gray.
Maryland was a force to be reckoned with. I was assuming this was all because of Freddie Gray, but it actually is much deeper than that.
Baltimore's top prosecutor, a woman named Marilyn Mosby, was indicted yesterday in the Eastern District of Maryland for perjury. Couldn't help but think about Donald Trump.
This is what you gotta deal with when you are a black woman fighting for just causes in America.
Yeah, but just taking on the police, period. She's stepping on their toes.
They want to cross her out of the system so she can't stand up for the preacher. Reached in the pool and grabbed me and pulled me out.
Imagine if this were you. You would want people to stand in your corner.
I lost my car, I lost my job, I lost my marriage, and I almost lost my mind for a little while.
It's just so much right now, Lord, and I'm just saying, why are you putting all of this on me? I'm about to break.